Hello, my name is Alice Freed, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, Solano County. Founded in 1920 out of the women's suffrage movement and the passage of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote, the League is a political grassroots organization currently comprised of over 750 leagues across the country with over 500,000 members. The League believes in the freedom to vote in a nonpartisan issue, believes that the right to vote is a nonpartisan issue. And we work very, very hard to empower voters to defend democracy through education and advocacy. But we do not endorse candidates. Along with our co-sponsors tonight, the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, the Psi Phi Omega fraternity, the Tri-City NAACP, and the Solano Youth Coalition, we hope our forum will encourage everyone to take part in our democracy by casting an informed vote. Now, before I turn this over to my co-sponsors, I'd like to acknowledge the Solano League President, Carol Patterson, who's here, our program chair and tech support, Craig Patterson. Yes, we do have men in the league, so if you're interested, please join. And if there are any other league members, raise your hand so that we can see who you are. I'd also like to introduce Johanna Novak-Palmer and students from the Solano Youth Coalition. The Solano League entered into a partnership last year with the Solano Youth Coalition to provide these students hands-on civics learning opportunities, such as this forum, as a means of preparing them to enter society, understanding how their government works, but more importantly, so that they can understand what they have to do to make it work. In other words, good citizenship. That's our goal. So I want to thank you for coming, and now my sister from the Delta Sigma Theta sorority will say a few words.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Grant Dawson. I am the president of the Solano Valley Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We are very pleased to be here this evening to share in what is, for all of the partners in the organization, a shared emphasis on our ability to support our community in their civic responsibilities, their civic rights, and their abilities to do these things. Delta Sigma Theta was founded in 1913 at Howard University, and our first action was to march in what was then the first women's suffrage movement march. So how does that connect us? Because later in 1920, the League of Women Voters would also follow in that same trend years later, seeking to ensure that women's right to vote was secured. In addition to that, Omega Psi Phi fraternity also has a very intense focus on ensuring that voter registration occurs. It's core to their commitment in their organization. In 1909, when the NAACP was founded, the NAACP was founded to ensure, most specifically, that the lives, especially of African Americans who were suffering, very specifically, lynching at that time, that their rights to live were supported. So all of our organizations are here to support the rights of individuals in these candidate forums, as well as our efforts that we continue with Solano Valley with voter registration as well. We also have participated historically in adopting or participating in an adopt-a-poll activity. Again, we're going to do that November 8th, so if you'd like to support and work with Delta Sigma Theta, we'd welcome you to support us at our adopt-a-poll in Fairfield. But it takes many organizations to be able to make sure that the voice of those that are maligned, those that are unheard, and those that simply may not know what their rights are, and those that need their rights fought for. So we are very pleased to be here with you this evening, and we want to make sure that we continue the partnership, and definitely thank the League for the invitation and for the rest of the partners that are here this evening. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Daoud Muhammad, and I am here representing the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated Theta Pi chapter. Omega Psi Phi, as was mentioned earlier, was formed as an organization on Howard University's campus in Washington, D.C. on November 17, 1911. As part of our 10 mandated programs. One of them is voter registration, voter education, and mobilization. So it is imperative that we be involved in activities like this to make sure that we educate the local community on what is going on with their candidates. I'm here with my fraternity brothers, Brother Joe Johnson, Brother Justin Wallace, Brother Dennis Toomer, and Brother Darrell Pouncey. I'm also charged with reading the audience rules for tonight's activities. Audience rules. As a matter of courtesy, please, number one, turn off your electronic devices, or at least silence them. Refrain from applauding or calling out, etc., whether it's something you agree with or not. Note that no campaign literature, buttons, clothing, signs are permitted in the forum room in order to maintain neutrality. All candidates will be given equal time to answer the same question. When appropriate, you will submit your questions in written form. Cards and pencils are provided. Online guests will submit questions in chat. All questions will be screened to avoid duplication and anything inappropriate. If time allows, we have to be out of the building by 8 o'clock p.m. You can meet and interact with candidates when the forum ends, so most likely afterwards. And the restrooms, if you need to, are outside the door and down the hall. Thank you.
Good evening, Vacaville residents. My name is Nikila Gibson, and I am Tri-City NAACP's Economic Development Chair. The Tri-City branch of NAACP has served as the community's advocates for civil rights and conducting voter registration, mobilization, civic engagement, and addressing health and education disparities within Fairfield, Sassoon, and Vacaville. Since March 1976. This subject is deeply important as we want to exchange ideas and, the subject is deeply interesting, exchange of ideas and issues discussed today to empower Vacaville citizens to make informed decisions based on knowledge and shared values. It's my great pleasure to introduce Danette Mitchell, our moderator for Vacaville's Candidate Forum. Our moderator, Danette Mitchell, is an incredible value to our community. She continues to make an impact in everything that she does. Ms. Mitchell is the opinion columnist for The Reporter and social issues advocate. She's passionate about ensuring that everyone hears the Black voice in Solano County and other minority groups. Ms. Mitchell has served as the Tri-City NAACP's Communication, Press, and Community Chair since 2017. Ms. Mitchell has also served as the advocate for missing and exploited African Americans. In 2019, she wrote a column bringing awareness to an overlooked issue of human trafficking in the Vallejo area. She also, in 2021, interviewed the National Black and Missing Foundation founders that were featured in the Black and Missing documentary series. Ms. Mitchell has served as the Planning Committee Co-Chair for Vacaville's inaugural Black History Celebration and Planning Committee for Vacaville's second annual Black History Celebration. She has also been recently awarded the 2022 Woman of the Year for Solano County and Unsung Shero Award for Tri-City NAACP, honoring her work in the community, recognized by the branch as an Executive Committee Member of the Year, and selected as one of the rock star volunteers in Solano County, hosted by the Center for Volunteer and Nonprofit Leadership. Ms. Mitchell has joined 30 other women in Vacaville who were honored during Women's History Month in the Vacaville People's Forum, and there are 31 Inspiring Women of Vacaville. In addition, she received the Black Woman Organized for Political Action Ella Hill Hudge Award for her volunteer work in the community and the organization.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson, for such a kind introduction. Good evening and welcome to the League of Women Voters Solano County Mayoral and District 4 Candidates Forum. A huge thank you to our candidates for being here. I am honored to be the moderator of this important event. Before we get started, I would like to go over and reiterate a couple of ground rules. Our candidates have all agreed to participate under the guidelines of fairness and civility set for this forum. The views expressed are those of the candidates, not the sponsoring organizations. The sponsorship of the forum is not an endorsement of any candidate. All verified candidates have been invited. This is a forum and not a debate, meaning our candidates are voicing their own views and goals about their position to the audience. As a matter of courtesy, I ask that everyone please turn off all electronic devices. To maintain neutrality, please be aware that campaign literature or other forms of campaigning such as buttons, t-shirts, and signs are not permitted inside the forum. To give access to the broader community, we are streaming and videotaping on YouTube. The function allows the public to participate. In addition, the live stream YouTube video will be saved automatically for future view on the League of Women Voters Solano County website. Except for approved media, no flash photography can be used during the forum. Again, no applause, cheering, or woohooing are allowed from the audience. Please hold your applause until the end of the event. For those who are watching online, you may place your questions in the chat. Audience members will be provided with index cards to submit written questions. All questions will be screened to avoid duplication and any question judged inappropriate. Each candidate has 3 minutes for opening remarks, 2 minutes to answer questions, and 3 minutes for closing remarks. The timekeeper will signal candidates with colored signs. When the allotted time has expired, candidates will be allowed no more than 10 seconds to finish a sentence before the moderator interrupts. Candidates' opening remarks will be determined alphabetically and alternate at the closing statements. The order of answering questions will also alternate between the candidates. Candidates can ask the moderator to repeat the question. No candidate is allowed to address another candidate during the forum. So now let's begin with the mayoral candidates. Our first candidate running for Vacaville mayor is Mr. Joseph Green. I will read his bio. Mr. Joseph Green served nearly 20 years in the United States Air Force. He is a small business owner, a husband, and a proud father of 4 children. Mr. Green has been an active volunteer in the community. He is the founder of a nonprofit organization that assists low-income and homeless veterans. His goal is to ensure that everyone in Vacaville knows their mayor and feels supported by the city. Mr. Green, please give your opening statement. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Could we use the microphone?
Sure.
Yeah.
I got a loud voice too, but this will work. I just want to say thank you to the. Is this better?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that works a little bit.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay. So since I'm the sole candidate tonight, I'm gonna lay my hair down and share who I am. I know I only have 3 minutes to express, and share the type of person that I am. My wife's been spending 6 years and she's still learning me. So let's see if I can make this happen. So as you heard my bio, I am a veteran. And the one thing that I think is really important to me tonight is the young folks who are in the crowd and just understanding how important it is for us to exercise our right to vote, the freedoms that we have. The brothers and sisters who I served shoulder to shoulder with on the battlefield, folks gave everything. Some gave their lives for us to do what we're doing here tonight. So it's really important that we continue to move forward together, arm to arm, making sure that we do this as a unit. I'm running for mayor because I want to see more from our city leadership. My goal and my vision for the city of Vacaville is to ensure that everyone feels included. I want to be the face of diversity. I want to make sure that there's equity across the board. One of my goals for Vacaville is to be an engaged mayor. One thing that breaks my heart is come campaign time and election time, we all see it. The great bullet points, the fancy websites, the signs all over the place. But what happens as soon as election time is over? All of that disappears. We look at our children, we ask them, do you know who your mayor is? I guarantee you 9 out of 10 will probably shrug their shoulders. You ask your neighbors, your coworkers, your family members, probably the same response. I want to change that. I want to make sure that we're addressing the things that are important to the people of the community. I don't want to guess what's wrong with what we're challenged with. I want to go out there and shake your hand, meet you, and find out how I can better help serve you. I don't have a magic wand. I can't fix everything by myself. But I guarantee you, if I bring us all together as a community, we can achieve great things. We're better together than by ourselves. No one in Vacaville should come in this city, reside here, and feel alone. That includes our homeless population. I can't stand seeing a homeless person sitting on the street, sleeping in front of businesses. They slept in front of mine, and people just step right over them like they don't even exist. That's a human being right there. Our children, are we proactively protecting our schools? Or is it just a conversation and a talking point? We need to change that. We need to make sure that everything that happens in Vacaville stays family-centered. I want to make sure that we all realize how important it is to have community and unity. Thank you guys for letting me have this opportunity to share who I am and what I stand for. And I promise you, if I do become mayor, this will not be the last time you meet me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Our next candidate is Jason Roberts. Unfortunately, he is unable to participate. According to federal election regulations, the mayoral forum cannot continue without 2 opposing candidates. However, I will read his bio and his opening statement. Good evening. I apologize for my inability to attend tonight's forum. I have a scheduling conflict with a city council meeting tonight. I should have recognized the conflict sooner and notified the organizations hosting this event well in advance in hopes to reschedule. However, I missed that opportunity and I fully own that oversight. As much as I still want to attend, I cannot in good conscience justify missing a city council meeting and shirking my duties as a civic elected leader for campaigning activities. I am a proud, longtime resident of Vacaville, a 16-year Army veteran with 2 deployments to Afghanistan with special operations, and I earned 2 bachelor's degrees from UC Davis. I worked with Team Rubicon, a veteran-based disaster response nonprofit and California Office of Emergency Services, helping communities in need prepare for and respond to disasters. I responded to the Redding, Paradise, and LNU fires, as well as hurricanes across the U.S. and internationally. These experiences reinforced the importance of service and inspired me to run for office and use that experience for the betterment of our city. Our communities face unparalleled economic and social struggles. Now, more than ever, we need proven and dedicated leadership to help lead a fiscally responsible recovery and future for Vacaville. We can begin by helping locally owned businesses flourish, promoting community-based workforce and economic development programs, and establishing services to assist families juggling returning to in-person schooling and work. My leadership experience brings clear communication with the community, instills accountability, has built strong community relationships, and will continue to do so, cultivates equality, and improves safety for all. People matter, and I will be a no-nonsense voice for everyone, not special interests. Again, my apologies for missing this event. I have left literature that contains more information as well as my contact information. Feel free to reach out anytime for any questions you might have of me or my campaign. Now, Mr. Green, you are invited to stay to meet and greet voters at the end. I'll leave your contact and campaign information in the other room. Let's move on to our District 4 Council candidates. Our first District 4 candidate is Dr. Sarah E Chapman. I will read her bio. Dr. Sarah E Chapman retired from Mare Island Naval Shipyard as a journeyperson machinist. She currently serves as president of Solano Community College Governing Board and has served on the Vacaville Unified School/Library District Governing Board. Dr. Chapman has resided in Vacaville for 43 years. She describes herself as a, quote, servant leader. She states serving is about the people and what is in their best interest. Dr. Chapman, please give your opening statement. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mitchell. As stated, I am Dr. Sarah Chapman, a long-time resident of Vacaville. Husband and children moved here, and we created a home for other young people, and we did that for 20 years. I'm going to speak primarily about District 4, and I will touch on, I'm sure many of the questions this evening are going to be centered around the city and the issues that confront the city. I look at District 4 as being an inner city hub of Vacaville. We are probably the oldest, one of the oldest districts in the city. Presently, we're dealing with crime, a relatively significant crime rate. Homelessness it dominates District 4. And when we look at homelessness, we're looking at not a drug addict. We're not looking at someone who is choosing to live on the street. We're not only looking at the veterans who are not familiar with the resources that are available to them. There are some people that just they choose to live on the street. And we're going to have to look at all of those issues and needs and address them accordingly. I am a listener. I believe in listening. You have to listen before you can act. And we have a very diverse community in District 4. And for them, I want to be their voice. I will listen to them. I will hear their issues and concerns. And I will do my very best to address them. I believe in working with facts. I'm a researcher. And I based I've based all my facts. All my decisions are based on facts. You can't go wrong. Health and safety are critical. When you speak about the quality of life, you want a standard quality of life for everyone. We have to address our police force. We have to look at their needs. They're there for us every day, 24/7, as well as the police department and those employees. Our housing issue is a problem. We have what some people refer to, they think the city is building affordable housing at this time. Well, they are affordable housing, but affordable for whom? We have young couples moving here who cannot afford a home. I must close at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman. Our next District 4 candidate is Mr. Scott Christian. I will read his bio. Mr. Scott Christian is a business owner and a pastor. He has lived in Vacaville for 25 years. Mr. Christian states, quote, I have been working to provide a solution to homelessness in our community for the last 9 years. I believe in being the change you want to see. If elected, I will work hard for the city while maintaining honesty and integrity. Mr. Christian, please give your opening statement. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Christian Scott, and I do believe that. I'm not really a politician. You know, I'm a pastor and a business owner and a father and a husband and an activist in the community. I do a lot of outreach with the homeless community. And so, as such, I have chosen not to really engage in a whole lot of political things like going after money from special interest groups and really sort of catering to whatever it is that they think they want to pre-get your vote on. So I've maintained through the whole thing that, what I really want to do is work hard for my community. I'm a guy that is on the streets every day, meeting people, families, business owners, and working within the homeless community and within the churches, partnering in Fairfield to work on the homeless situation there as well. I have been working on that for about 10 years. It's really my passion. If there's a number one thing on my platform, it is a solution to homelessness. And, knowing the people in our homeless community by name and having a relationship with them, you go through seasons, and some of them don't make it through the year. When the winter comes, some of them pass. And, I've watched a lot go on with that. And we've seen in our community that we've gotten tiny house projects and things that we've tried to get off the ground to start to have a solution for this. And it seems like every time we get a new proposal, it gets shot down. Either people are afraid the property values are going to drop or whatever the case is. And so I think that we need a new solution, a solution that is not going to, force it into somebody's backyard without them knowing about it, but it is going to be something that's going to help out the police because they're going to have less policing to do with the homeless, the business districts because they'll be doing more business, and the homeless community as well, to really make it a situation that it's not a couple of rooms at a hotel or a couple of beds at a shelter, but an actual site, an actual village, a community where people can come in and they can get rehabilitated, they can get all the services they need. I've been collecting volunteers for mental health, drug and alcohol counseling, contractors for about the last decade to move on this project, and I am super excited, if elected, to really get moving on this. I look at what we spend and I think, hey, let's do better with that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. It's time to begin the questions. Now, before I start, do we have any water for our candidates? I will continue. The first round of questions was developed by the forum sponsors. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the same question. The first question will go to Dr. Chapman. What is your vision for Vacaville? How can the city benefit if you are elected?
Okay, that is a great question. My vision for Vacaville.
Get the microphone, please. Yeah.
Sorry. As I stated, that is a great question. My vision for Vacaville is a place where everyone, regardless of their economic status, can live and survive. A place where they can get a job, where they can obtain employment that will pay them a livable wage. In order for that to occur, we need corporations, we need establishments to come here to Vacaville to offer those high-paying positions. They don't have to be high-paying, but they have to provide a livable wage. Health and safety, as I mentioned earlier, a standard quality of life for everyone. And that is they live in a community that is safe. Everyone should be able to live in a community that is safe and the environment is conducive for them to be able to enjoy their surroundings. That is my vision for Vacaville. I don't have enough time for part 2 of that question.
About 30 seconds.
10 seconds.
30.
Seconds.
I apologize. Okay, and then how can I benefit
Yes, if you're elected.
if elected? I have the skill set, I have the knowledge, I have the education, I have already served approximately 30 years, 18 and 10, 28 years in a policy-making role where we had to make decisions that was best for the majority and not a few.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman. Mr. Christian, same question.
Vision for the community. What I'd really like to see. I'd like to see the divide between police and the people who are policed shrink. I'd like to see cooperation and unification, community volunteer policing. I'd like to see less of a us and them mentality. I would, obviously like to see homelessness ended within the next couple of years. I'd like to see a solution to that. I would also like to see the money that we're spending, and we're talking about millions of dollars, I'd like to see that be spent efficiently. I'd like to feel the effects of the expenditures that we're making in our community. I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see more transparency, and I'd like to see accountability and just honesty across the board. If elected, I do have experience both running a business. I was a president of the student council at Solano College, and have found that anything that I get involved with, I typically gravitate towards administration and management and have a skill set for that. At 50 years old, I feel like this is just the right time for me to jump in and help my community and serve. And, just really looking out for my community in such a way that being elected is not about the people who are being elected. It's about the community that those elected people are serving. Thanks.
Thank you. Next question. It is becoming increasingly evident that communication between elected representatives and constituents is the glue that upholds our democracy. What are your plans to consistently communicate with and listen to the people? Mr. Scott.
So that's primarily what I have been doing, is going door to door, just meeting people, talking to people, meeting with neighborhood watch groups, meeting with people at different churches, and going wherever there's some people who will talk and who will listen about what's going on in our community. By fostering those relationships, keeping those lines of communication open, I really love being the guy that will come over on a Saturday and help you wash your car. Like, there's no line that you've got to get in and you have to jump through to come and meet with me and speak with me on whatever it is. Yeah. Could you repeat it for me, the question?
Yes.
I think I got sidetracked.
What are your plans to consistently communicate with
Okay.
and listen to the people?
Just that, yeah, so I think that covers it pretty well. I mean, I make myself available to everybody all the time, and I am circulating out on the streets and in the businesses, meeting people daily, and not hard to get a hold of at all. So I look forward to, win, lose, or draw, working with everybody in my community to just foster improvement in all of the areas that we have here. Thanks.
Dr. Chapman, same question.
You want to reread that?
Yes, absolutely. It is becoming increasingly evident that communication between elected representatives and constituents is the glue that upholds our democracy. What are your plans to consistently communicate with and listen to the people?
Thank you. First, you have to be accessible. You have to make yourself accessible to the people. How would I do that? I would be in favor, and if someone wanted to make a different suggestion, but right now, right off the top, I would say I would be willing to meet or set up a location to meet with the community quarterly. And if you look at District 4, you could divide it into fourths. District 4 divided into fourths. And quarterly, I could meet in each one of the sections of District 4, making myself accessible to the people. I've already stated that I'm a listener. Before you can communicate effectively, you have to be able to you have to be a good listener. To listen, you have to regurgitate back what you heard. You have to be transparent. The people have to believe in you. There must be respect and trust. So in order to communicate, build that rapport with the people. Build respect on both sides. I respect everyone out the gate, but everyone does not respect me out the gate. But once they get to know me, I am who I am all the time.
Thank you. Next question goes to Mr. Scott. District 4 has some of the city's highest density low-income housing. Yet, it has the lowest ratios of parks, recreation amenities, job centers, and other public resources known to address crime. What are your plans to improve the quality/quantity of parks and recreational opportunities for District 4 youth?
This is a really good question. You know, this is the first time that we're going to be represented as a district. When we were at large electing the city council, it tended to have most people from a certain area. But now we get somebody from each district, so we're going to have equal representation. That is hugely important for our district. And as I patrol the streets and go around and look at different areas of Vacaville, it's true, we have parks that have been closed since I've lived here. We have dilapidated areas that haven't received any kind of beautification or any kind of funding to make that happen. And I think that District 4 has become that district where, you know, it hasn't traditionally gotten a whole lot of love. Everything's old, outdated, broken down. We got a couple nice parks there, but quite frankly, this is one of the reasons I was so excited to run, is so that District 4 can finally get some love from the budget. We can get some things changed, get some things happening. We can improve not just the amount of police that we have in the community there in District 4, but try to prevent things by having parks and after-school programs and all sorts of things that give the kids something to do besides get into trouble. And I believe that education is the key to that rather than punishment.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman. Same question. I can repeat it. District 4 has some of the city's highest density low-income housing. Yet, it has the lowest ratios of parks, recreation amenities, job centers, and other public resources known to address crime. What are your plans to improve the quality/quantity of parks and recreational opportunities for District 4 youth?
Thank you. District 4 is the forgotten district. As growth has taken place in Vacaville, the focus has been on providing those communities with the great amenities. And in doing so, District 4 has been forgotten. The parks are terrible. Not because many of our homeless are residing near the parks, but because of what everyone leaves behind. What can be done to help District 4 is when we're discussing the general plan, when we're allocating the budget where the funds will go annually. We must, put me there, I must speak and advocate for District 4. I can't overlook the other districts. We have to consider all of Vacaville. However, what has already been stated is District 4 is the one that's lacking the nourishment that it has deserved, but has not been given. So it will be at the table where decisions can be made, where I would advocate heavily and convince others to prioritize the needs of District 4 to improve the standard quality of life for our youth.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman. Next question. Homelessness, crime, and sex work are prevalent in District 4 parks, trails, and street corners. Many of these individuals need substance abuse and our mental health treatment. What are your plans to provide these services to all who require these services? Mr. Scott?
Well, currently, I'm partnered with City Church in Fairfield, and there is a program there where I am able to take people that I get into relationship here in Vacaville with and get them enrolled in this program, get them off booze, off drugs, give them a safe place where they can get away from the street scene and become rehabilitated, get back with their family, gain employment, get a suit to go out and do interviews, and it's really a full service thing, and just been wonderful. This is the type of thing that I would like to see happen in Vacaville, that we can have this for our homeless community. And so when I run into this situation and I'm going down the trails at night, I'm going in underneath the bridges and climbing in the bushes and finding people and breaking bread with them and having a relationship. And I find that that's really the key, is not to just let them know what services are there, but to actually have a relationship with them, to actually know them. One of the people in the homeless community said this thing that just was such a blessing to me. I had come up and I was bringing food and clothing and stuff, and he turned to the rest of his friends and he said, "No, he's not like the rest. He's real. And he cares about us." And it just touched me so much. I said, this is the dividend of all the work that I've been investing in this homeless community. And so it's a doable thing. It's in the works as we speak. I'll be out there later tonight, and you know, if elected, I'm gonna push so hard to have relationship restored between the homeless community and the rest of the city, so that people don't turn away, but they turn towards the problem.
Thank you. Dr. Chapman, same question. I will repeat. Homelessness, crime, and sex work are prevalent in District 4 parks, trails, and street corners. Many of these individuals need substance abuse and our mental health treatment. What are your plans to provide these services to all who require these services?
Thank you. Good question. And yes, all of that does exist in District 4. I hope I have enough time at the very end to touch on the sex. First of all, we need to collaborate with other nonprofit organizations and others that have what you can look at as a best practice. When you collaborate and you discuss, you share, then you say, you may have that aha moment. Oh, this may work for this group of people in Vacaville, in District 4. I'm aware that there is a community resource center, there is the Opportunity House, and they all offer services to a homeless population. And there we also, I'm going to touch on, each district has 2 officers assigned to them. If you live in District 4, Officer McCoy and Officer Hoppy, I think it's Hopper or Hoppy, are assigned to District 4. It's my desire to meet with them and discuss their concerns with this particular community, the homeless, the crime. And let's talk about the sex. I just recently noticed that we do have ladies of the evening now on the streets of Vacaville. There are 2 in particular that I see any time of the day. That shouldn't be. That should not be. And I'm hoping that I'm not going to label anyone, but that is something new that's just been brought to my attention because I witnessed it with my own eyes.
Please stop.
You begin to nip
You must
things
stop.
when they occur.
Thank you. Next question. Although the city has taken some steps to reduce our $325 million unfunded liability, the problem persists. 2 grand juries have issued reports on this issue and its unsustainability. As a city council member, what steps do you feel could be taken to address this crucial fiscal responsible issue? Mr. Scott.
This is another issue that's close to my heart. We have a sizable budget in this city, and when we utilize it in such a way that there's not the most amount of efficiency, when we spend money that we don't have to on things, when we spend more money when we could get it done for less, it's just irresponsible. And borrowing from the future in an unsustainable way, borrowing from our kids' future in the town is just not the way to handle this. And so we're going to have to tighten the belt. We're going to have to come up with better, more affordable solutions. We're going to have to realize that there is going to be a cap on certain things. Until we have that financial responsibility, until we start acting that way, we're going to be robbing from tomorrow. So we want to be planting seed for tomorrow. We want to be leaving something behind so that it's better than when we found it. And I think that there is a whole lot of room in the budget to make that very thing happen. And so if I'm elected onto the council, I am definitely going to poke my nose and question and push into every place that we can squeeze more money out of the budget. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Dr. Chapman, I can repeat the question. Although the city has taken some steps to reduce our $325 million unfunded liability, the problem persists. 2 grand juries have issued reports on this issue and its unsustainability. As a city council member, what steps do you feel could be taken to address this crucial fiscal responsible issue?
Thank you. As stated, Vacaville does have a sizable budget. I think it's around $240 million. Where are those funds going? Why do we have such a large unfunded debt? Well, Vacaville Vacaville pays many of its employees full benefits. That is not heard of in many locations. Many organizations, there is a portion of the benefits that is paid by the employee. If you get a chance, research and see if you can find another city that offers such to their employees. And I'm not knocking it. If you can get it, great. But we can't afford that. We need to bring about change. That unfunded debt is primarily comprised of the pension fund. Funds have not been put away for the pension plan. And so if Vacaville had to shut its doors today, I mean, if we were wiped out by a flood or whatever and had many people retire, guess what? We couldn't provide their pensions. That is the unfunded debt, and it is significant. That is something that the council cannot decide to wipe out or to downsize. It is a union. You have to discuss that with the employee unions. That is a negotiable item. What is it going to take? It's going to take information. It's going to take informing our people. We're going to have to inform our employees. You know, you have wonderful, great benefits.
You must stop.
However,
Next question. In July 2021, Governor Gavin Newsom signed Executive Order N-10-21, calling on all Californians to voluntarily use 15% less water compared to 2020 levels. What is your plan to ensure that Vacaville is conserving water? Mr. Scott?
I think first off, we can offer an incentive to have an alternative to a lawn that you water 3 times a week. I think that there are several places where we can conserve. We can encourage that. We can send out flyers in the mail to everybody to give them lots of different ways to conserve, partnering with the people that come around and give you the energy efficiency in your house and the water conservation for the shower. I think that there are many things we can do there. And we're also going to have to enforce that. We're going to have to enforce that it's not letting the water run down the street. I think we also need to keep an eye out for, we've all seen them, broken sprinklers in the middle of the night shooting a geyser out like Old Faithful. We need to be on top of that, you know, not 3 weeks later, but right on top of it. So I think that if we can come together as a community, and especially, I mean, really, money motivates people, right? So if there's some sort of incentive, a lot of people are going to be interested in that, more so than just, you know, to help the community. If they're helping themselves financially, they're going to be interested. I hope that we're all interested in conservation because it's good for our community, but if we cast that net wide, we're going to have more of a dividend come in off that. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman. Question? Okay. In July 2021, Governor Gavin Newsom signed Executive Order N-10-21, calling on all Californians to voluntarily use 15% less water compared to 2020 levels. What is your plan to ensure that Vacaville is conserving water?
thank you. Can't recall exactly which year it was, but you know, we've been in this drought situation before. To conserve water, what has worked is the odd and even days in which maybe our district may every Monday, Wednesday, Friday we can water our grounds, and Tuesday, Thursday, that other one I didn't, Saturday, then another district. However, so the odd even is a way to conserve. Yet, it's going to take the electorate, it's going to take the residents of the community to understand the severity of having a shortage of water. That is that's a big issue. When you look at some of the other places right now, we're having to send water into them because of Mother Nature and the damage, the harm that they brought in. That is not a place we want to be. We have been in this drought situation for much too long, and I understand from an environmentalist that I was saying, oh, when it rains this year, it's really going to come down. They said, no, it's not going to rain this year. We will not get it. We're going to be in this drought maybe another year. Hopefully we're not, but that is a possibility. That is reality. So it's going to be enlightening, informing the residents the importance of conserving water. There are things that you can do, and I was told this at one time. Someone told me, you know, when you take a shower, that runoff water, when you're letting the water heat up, you should have a bucket there to catch that water. You can water your plants with it. You can do different things with it. People really conserve water that way. We've got to share
You must end.
more with the residents.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman. And now we will hear questions from our audience. For those who are watching online, you may place your questions in the chat. Again, the audience will be providing index cards to submit written questions. All questions will be screened to avoid duplication, and any question judged inappropriate. Each candidate has 2 minutes to respond to the question.
Hello, Madam President. Oh,
I was gonna see what happened.
stick it to his back.
Oh, because of the thing here. They say I'm a contractor, my tools in the truck. Oh, sure, I'll handle this. I've got it.
Our first question from the audience is to Mr. Scott. Provide more insight on the homeless project you referenced in your opening statement.
Well, that's a good one right there. That's a good one. So I've been scouting properties, and I have found several locations that I've been investigating to place sort of a village that I call sanctuary, and it is a place where the tiny homes would be placed. We also have a heating and cooling building, a 40-foot staffing trailer. There's a particular piece of property just outside the city limits at the Blue Ridge sort of mountain range, and it's got a well and an unpermitted cabin. It's 90 acres. It's like 365,000. 40 acres of that is gradable, buildable, usable, growable land. And so my plan is to build a small community, starting with the tiny houses. And I've gotten a lot of people to volunteer building materials, as well as contractors to help with the building, and interviewed many of the people in the homeless community for the skill sets that they have so that they can invest themselves into the process and have an owner mentality instead of when we have these shelters, it's like not really their place, so they don't really necessarily respect it and keep it clean and all that. But this is a place we're talking about you can build. You're encouraged to build. We're gonna grow food there, have livestock. Everybody works, everybody eats, continuing education, health. I've got barbers, I've got doctors, you name it. People are waiting to volunteer to do this, and I can't wait to put forth this proposal to the council.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. This question is for you, Dr. Chapman. How do you plan to address homelessness?
A thought that I have been sharing while campaigning, I shared that there was an area in Vacaville where I'm going to refer to them as slumlords. There were property owners that were not taking care or reinvesting in the apartment complexes. And when there was redevelopment funds available to the city, those funds were for the purpose of improving blighted areas in the community. And so the city used some of those funds to revitalize some apartments and then allowed the individuals to return to them. If there was such an apartment complex today, that may, however, there would need to be another funding source because those redevelopment funds are no longer available. That's an idea that could be put in place, is to invest in the apartment complex, revitalize it, and then set up a criteria for taking out homeless and letting them reside on the premises. Of course, there are some, it depends upon what the issue or the need of that homeless person is. It would not fit all the homeless individuals because of mental health. There are different issues that they're all dealing with. But that was something I had in mind, was to reinvest in a complex that the city could acquire in partnership with a nonprofit organization.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman. This question is for you, Mr. Scott. What is your solution? How do you plan on making sure that your plan for the homelessness is carried out?
So this plan that I've been working on, I would love to see the city step up to the plate and redirect the funds that aren't making a difference. You know, we're spending a lot of money on a couple beds here and a couple beds there, and that's kind of it. Most of the homeless population out there is not single moms and young women, it's men. It's men, and we have plenty of stuff for veterans. We have plenty of stuff for women with children that are young, but not a whole lot for men. And that's primarily the population of our homeless community. And so I feel like, you know, addressing that in such a way that we come away from those things and we stop putting good money after bad and realize that this is not working. There's still a homeless problem, every bit as much as there was 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe more. So we need to spend that money differently. And I think that, you know, not just hiring firms to come in and say, here's what we think, you know, the numbers show this. But what I'll bring to the table is I am out there on the street. I am implementing these things at street level, and I'm seeing what works and what does not work. I am talking with the homeless people and figuring out what they're willing to do and what they're absolutely not willing to do. And partnering with other nonprofits in lots of different cities, including our own. It gives me that experience level to bring to the table that says if you're not a person that's in the trenches on the streets, like I am, I think that's valuable to bring to the table to discuss and come up with plans and options for this.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. This question is for the both of you. Why did you choose to run for your office? Give at least 3 reasons. Dr. Chapman?
Okay, I really didn't have to think about it, but I wanted to make sure I got my 3 reasons out. Cliche, I am a people person. My husband, who's here, will attest that I do for others before I do for myself. I believe that everyone deserves a quality life, to live in a healthy environment, to feel safe. We have our youth that have spoken to me that do not feel safe. And I question, what is safe? You know, we need to look at that. We need to look at how people define feeling safe, because I think it means something different to several individuals. So my reason for running is I want to be the voice. I can't do enough for others, and I want that for myself. If you want it for yourself, then I want it for others. Everyone should want that. You want to raise your children, your family in an area that you're proud to call home, where you say, okay, go outside and play, and you don't have to worry about your child out in the front yard. Safety means an awful lot to me. Being able to earn a living without commuting 40, 50 miles each way to a job. So I'm running because I want to make a difference in the lives of others.
Mr. Scott, same question.
Why am I running? I am running because, yes, I believe that you need to be the change that you want to see. Be not just a complainer, but somebody who's willing to step up and do something about it. I hear a lot of people naysaying about, you know, who's locally or even nationally in power and what they're doing. And I say, hey, step up and get involved then. And that's one of the major reasons I'm running. That and my passion to get something done, not from outside the system, but directly from inside the system. I've been trying from outside the system, and it seems like we need a voice in there that's not going to be a career politician or beleaguered by any sort of promise making or a good old boy club or what have you. I haven't taken any money from my campaign from anybody. I haven't promised anybody anything except that I would be honest, hardworking, transparent, and just maintain that attitude throughout. So I would like to see the solution to homelessness. I would like to see better management of that creek that we have, so that we're not paying all that extra FEMA money just by default. And I would also like to see District 4 not be the garbage district anymore. I think it should be as beautiful as the rest of the city is. And I think it's way overdue. That's why I'm running.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. This is another question for the both of you. Vacaville's senior population is the fastest growing demographics. For example, 47% from 2010 to 2019. Would you support the reinstitution of an aging commission to support these issues? Dr. Chapman.
Not a bad idea. Off the top of my head, I would say yes, I could support. I'm just putting that out there. However, once I receive the facts and everything to learn what is already in place, how are we presently addressing it? Many years ago, several years ago, I was on a committee that began looking at the aging in Vacaville. And we used to meet over at one of the senior residents here. Yes, we are all aging. Y'all thought I was going to say yes, I'm one of them. But yes, we are aging. We do have an aging community. And the question being, can I support an aging
Reinstitution Aging Commission.
commission
To support adult issues. Yes.
to adult, yes,
Adult issues,
to
yes.
address adult issues?
Yes.
Absolutely. As I state, if there is nothing already in place, I could state right now that I could support an aging commission. Yet, as I stated earlier, I deal with facts. I would have to research and see what we don't have and what we could do differently.
Mr. Scott?
I definitely would, because, you know, I deal also in the elderly community in some of these homes and facilities. I go in there and I talk to people and just go hang out with them and play the piano. I'm kind of a musician, so I like to just have a good time with them, and I feel that they're really a treasure in our community with the stories and everything they have to offer, everything that they know and have experienced. And I've seen many people, they live their life, they work hard, they pay their taxes, they do what they're supposed to do, and then they gain wealth that they can leave behind for their children, and it all gets sucked up. And they end up at the end penniless because they go into these places and the prices are sky high. And the children's college funds go up in smoke instantly. My family's dealing with something like that even right now. And it really takes a community, you know, just like it does take a village to raise children. It takes a community to circle the wagons around our elderly. You know, they deserve our respect. They deserve our love. They deserve to have proper treatment without just draining their bank accounts and giving them substandard service. So absolutely, I would support a commission on that would make sure that they're getting a fair shake.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. And here's the last question for the both of you. At which location would you plan to build the tiny homes, Dr. Chapman?
At which location
Yes.
would I
Plan to build the tiny homes? Which locations?
Well, first of all, I would have to say I have no plans to build tiny homes. So to put that to me right now, I would, if there was space within the city limits, don't take that personal.
Yeah.
Within the city limits that had the infrastructure in place and also had the stores, the grocery stores or health clinics would have those things that the individuals would be in need of. I may consider building small homes in such an area. However, that had never crossed my mind a location to build the tiny homes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Scott?
There's a spot right over by the social services building. It is city-owned land. It is not doing nothing. It is fenced. It is just a barren field. It's a perfect spot right over by Brown Street. And it's close to services. So if we were able to have, you know, people not protest and let us do that there, if that were to happen, and it got shot down before, I think that would be in the city limits, the ideal location. Services are right there. They're right there. So that's kind of the thing that I'm facing with going outside the city limits is we have to bring in services or we have to bring them to services. But if we were able to get it within the city limits, oh man, that'd be ideal. And right next to the services that they need. They don't have to try to find a ride to get there, it's right next door. And when we put these tiny homes there, the thing that really people aren't looking at is they say, well, if we do that, then we're gonna have more garbage, we're gonna have crime, and all these things are gonna happen. And I would say to that, listen, if we have a place, then there's somebody who's overlooking this, and there's some sense of control there. Without it, it's just going on in your neighborhood. It's going on, you know, down at the business that you're going to walk into. It's going on with nobody watching at all. No any kind of rules for conduct or anything. So we're already there. What we need to do is improve from there. And I think that it's not going to bring down property value. It's going to bring it up across the city.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Now we will have our closing statements. So, Mr. Scott, you have 3 minutes to give your closing statement.
So, you know, running for this, I just wanted to really emphasize that this is not a career path for me. This is not a bid to move from here as a stepping stone to get to the supervisory board. I'm just a civic-minded man in the community that wants to see things improve. I've been watching them go downhill for years, and I am ready to stand up and be counted and make a difference. I do have experience in this place. I feel like I have good leadership skills and solid ideas and intelligence to apply to these situations. And so I think that I would make a good candidate. I think that we have other people that are running that will also make good candidates. There's one sitting right next to me. She's wonderful. I'd vote for her if I wasn't running. But I gotta tell you, I am excited about this, and if elected, I'm going to pour a whole lot of energy into making our community better across the board. Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Chapman?
Thank you for that compliment. I'm going to start out by saying Vacaville needs me. I have the time, the desire, the capabilities, and I often say I'll never retire. And people don't understand what I mean, I'll never retire. It's not about retiring from a money-paying job. I'll never retire from doing for others. And I feel that I'm the right person. I'm the right person, I'm level-headed. I do my homework. And above all else, I am compassionate. I care about everybody, regardless of your circumstances. And if you ever come to me and share, I'm going to find a way to help you. Whether to locate the resource, if I can't do it myself, I will locate the resources for you. I feel it's in my soul, or I should say it is in my soul, to serve, and I feel I'm doing His will. I want to thank each of you for being here this evening to hear from the two of us. I want to thank the League of Women Voters, the NAACP, the sorority, Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and the Omega Psi Phi for all coming together to partner so that others could hear our positions and our platform.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Well,
Grab the microphone.
there's nothing like making sure that people get to make a choice. We are only free when we're able to make a choice. So, and I would like to say thank you to my partners. It was fun getting this together, and definitely thank you to the candidates for coming out to make this happen. And for those of you in the viewing audience and for those of you who came here to visit, just remember this. This is we the people, and that's who we are. We have to make this choice. Local government is at the top, should be at the top of everybody's list in terms of getting out to vote right now. District 4 and Mr. Green are here for Vacaville, and we need to make sure that we hear we hear what they have to say, and we get out there and we vote. It's not going to matter just to listen to them. You have to take this all the way. Listen, choose, and vote. If you need to register to vote, the League of Women Voters is available. The Delta, everybody in all of these partners are ready to help you register to vote. So that's my thing. Be free. If you want to stay free, you got to vote. You got to make a choice. And we were here today to make sure that that happens. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for coming to share with us.